Hi everyone, Jane here. Thank you for watching my video today and welcome to everybody. Today I am having a look at a new journal that I have bought. So this first bit of the video, even though obviously I am creating and looking through this paper pack on the screen, I will be talking a little bit about the journal that I'm going to be using today. Now, anybody who's watched my channel for a while will realise I do have a bit of an addiction to different journals. I just love them. I love starting new journals. I love all the different sizes. I like all the different types. I like them for different sort of mediums. And I sort of include watercolor sketchbooks in with my journals. Now, I'm probably going to have people who are proper pure artists say that that is not what a watercolor sketchbook is. But for me, I use them all in the same sort of way. So I'm going to class them together. But obviously, if you use your watercolor sketchbooks more specifically, then that's, your choice to do that as well. Now, the one I have got today is quite an interesting little art journal. And I'm going to call this an art journal because it actually says on the information that comes on the front that it is a watercolor art journal. And it's made by Stamperia, and I chose it and wanted it specifically because I loved the size. It is 4 inches by 8.5 inches, which means when it's opened up, you sort of get an 8 by 8 size page in the double page spread. Now, the interesting thing is it is made with watercolor paper. It does not say anywhere, and I could not find anywhere what sort of watercolor paper it is. So because it doesn't say it's cotton, I'm going to make an assumption that it is cellulose. And I have tried to find out, and nowhere did it say exactly what it is. In fact, on the marketing, it just said like it was a special watercolor paper. So I'm going to presume it's cellulose. It says it's hot pressed, but the way the signatures are put into the book, on one side it's very textured, and on the other side it's very smooth. So I think of a hot press as being a very smooth watercolor paper. So I'm not quite sure, and I couldn't work out which was meant to be the front and which was meant to be the back. Now, the way it's been put together means that on some of the double page spreads you get one half that's textured, one half that's smoothed. On others, both sides are textured, and on others, both sides are smooth because of the way the book's put together, which to me, that isn't an issue. I'm going to throw so many different mixed mediums at this, it's not going to matter. But if that is something that would bother you, then obviously that might be something that you might want to be aware of. On the whole, it's a really sturdy paper. It says it's 300 grams, so 300 GSM. I think that's in 140 pounds. So it's really thick. And at the end of this, I do show you right at the end the other pages, just to show that even though I put watercolor, I put acrylic paint, I put ink from stamping, it didn't go through. To be fair, I was being quite careful with my watercolor, and I have today used the Kuretake Gansai Tambi. I will list what I've used in the description box below, and I will add links where I think that would be helpful. For example, for this beautiful paper pack, which is by Deakin, who is based in the UK. I will link to his website where he sells these as well, because it's lovely to support small businesses if that's something that you wanted to purchase. I very rarely use faces as faces in my work. I do use characters quite often, but I don't often focus on faces. So I thought it might be nice to use this journal as one that will be all about faces. That may change. I might change my mind halfway through or in a couple of pages, but that's what I like to do, change my mind. But this double page spread, I actually chose the pages where one was textured and one was smooth, just so I could see the difference. And I have to say, when I was putting down the watercolor, the colors, which I will list in the description box, I found that the texture really showed through. So the textured side is the left-hand side and the smooth is on the right. And I did get a different look from either side. So if you are somebody who is really worried about it being coherent across the two pages, that is something that might bother you. But for me, it wasn't much of an issue, and I'm covering everything up mostly anyway. So I'm just trying to think what else I can do. So the journal does lay flat, which is really nice. When I first opened it, I did have to give it a bit of work to make it open properly. It sort of felt a bit stiff, and it was almost like I had to, like break the spine almost to get it to lay flat. But once I'd done it, it hasn't damaged the journal in any way, but I did do it, and then I turned a few pages and had to do it a few times just to get a bit more flexibility in the journal. It does say that you can customize the front, but to be fair, I do that on anything I want. It comes with a ribbon to mark your pages. To be totally honest, I don't see the point. I never use the ribbons. I would just end up having to tuck them in. I should just cut them out, shouldn't I? Good point. I think I might do that. I never use the ribbons, to be totally honest. Can flick through a journal quite quickly. So I should tell you a little bit about what I did. So I'm using this beautiful girl from the paper pad, which is called Small Faces by Mike Deakin. And I started off, I put some Kuretake Gansai Tambis from the Art Nouveau set in the background. And then I did some stamping with my own stamp set, which I will put in the description box. It's one of my favourites, not because I designed it, but because I love simple marks. And so I just wanted to keep this fairly simple and make the lady to be the sort of focal point. Now, I wanted her to, obviously her head, where I cut it out, her hair came off in quite a straight line. Now, I could have left it like that, but I wanted to do something a little bit funky. And so I decided to extend her hair. Now, this was a bit of a work in progress. So I started off, I used my Stabilo All pencil and I drew in the hair, and then I'm sort of watering out the lines. Then I wasn't entirely happy, and I realized that actually having the watercolor sort of look, it didn't go with where I had cut the face out. Then I thought, I know what, I'll just add some more of the black Stabilo All pencil. But where I actually scribbled onto the paper, it left lines, which I did not like. So then I thought I'll try and cover it. I don't know why I thought this colour was going to be at all useful. But I started, so I finished. And then after that, I thought, you know what, I need to go big guns on this. So I've got my Pebeo Studio Acrylic, and it's like a blue black. It's one of the Dyna range. I've got it in front of me. Let me have a look. It's called Iridescent Blue Black. So I painted all her hair in with that and brought it right down to the paper as well, so that it all blended in nicely. And then I was happier, much happier. So that's what I'm doing here. I added a little bit of water now and again onto my brush as well, just to sort of spread the paint around a little bit more. And once that was dry, I wanted to add a little bit more interest and texture in. So I've gone with some chalky grey paint from Americana Decor. It's the colour Yesteryear. And I just wanted to add in some sort of highlights or some, changes in tone for the colour. And there was a reason I chose the grey. I can't remember what that reason was, but I did choose it for a reason. I think it must have been the colour that was in the paper that was around the girl when I first cut her out. And I thought that I should bring a bit of that back in. So I'm just trying to get some sort of like arty marks in there. Then I wanted even more in there. So I've gone with my Posca pen. I think this is the 3M in white, and so just adding some more texture. And as I built up the texture, I was a lot happier with how this was looking. Now, I mean, I could have just given her a little bit of hair, but I was just trying to get a bit of flow across the page, and I wanted to experiment with some different mediums. and I also wanted to add something over onto the other page because I knew I wasn't going to be putting anything significant over there. So I've added in some highlights to her face as well, then giving it a quick dry. Now I wanted to tie this all together a bit more, in particular the line between the paper and where I'd drawn her hair. So I'm going in with this little dinkable stencil from Be Crafty, and I'm using some white texture paste just to sort of add some extra interest to the page, but also to tie it together. And I have said this on videos before, but I know I always have new people joining, that by adding in that stenciling over the top, it helps to unify all the elements on the page. And I was wanting just to re-emphasize where I'd drawn the hair, where some of the paint had gone over the top, and so I just went in with my black Posca pen. Now this is a sentiment that I have in my stash, and I'm just gluing it down. I wanted the black with the white writing just to really stand out, and I just want that to be nice and flat. So if you have enjoyed this video today, do please give it a thumbs up. I will, as I say, list and link where necessary in the description box below. And if you haven't already subscribed, it'd be lovely if you could click that subscribe button. And until the next time, bye-bye.